Welcome to Slow Night, Ancient Tales. As the world outside grows quiet, we invite you to step into the shadows of a time long past. Tonight, we journey to the dimly lit room of early 20th century Joseon. In the stillness of the night, a wife sits alone, her needlework her only companion, waiting for a husband whose brilliant mind is slowly being crushed by the weight of a broken world. Find a comfortable space, close your eyes, and let the heavy, melancholic silence of history wash over you. Tonight's story is A Society That Encourages Drinking. A society that encourages drinking, starting in a calm and quiet atmosphere. "Ouch!" cried the wife, who had been sewing alone, with a thin, sharp voice. It was because the tip of the needle had pricked her left thumb. Her slender finger trembled, and cherry-red blood seeped out from under her white fingernail. The wife hurriedly put down the needle and pressed down hard on the wound with her finger. When she lifted her finger, red flour-like blood welled up again over the pale spot. Millet-sized drops of blood beaded up from the barely visible wound. While wrapping the wound with a scrap of cloth, the wife looked through her sewing basket. However, the scrap of cloth placed under the spool of thread would not be picked up as if it were glued down. "Why won't you come up?" the wife finally cried out, as if about to weep. She looked around the room, but there were only solitary shadows in the empty space. Outside was dead silent as well, and only the miserable sound of water drops occasionally falling from the faucet echoed in the quiet. The grandfather clock was already pointing towards 1 o'clock, and her husband had not yet returned. It had already been 7 or 8 years since they became husband and wife. But counting the days they had actually spent together, it was less than a year. As soon as he finished middle school, her husband had left to study abroad in Tokyo, where he eventually graduated from university. How lonely the wife must have been during those long years. In the spring, she greeted the blooming flowers with sighs, and in the winter, she warmed her ice-cold pillow with tears. Waiting only for her husband's return, the wife gladly embraced the hardships. She waited for whatever it was her husband would bring back from Tokyo, something precious like a goblin's magic club that could effortlessly produce clothes and money. However, the husband who returned was different from her expectations. He only busily wandered outside or stayed up all night reading books and writing. He grew more gaunt by the day, easily lost his temper, and habitually shouted, "I'm so angry! I'm so angry!" One day at dawn, groping in her sleep, she found her husband's side of the bed empty. The wife saw him sitting at his desk, his shoulders heaving as he sobbed in the dark. Pausing briefly, shifting the mood. Another month or two passed. Now a nauseating stench of alcohol constantly emanated from her husband. He was late again tonight. The wife, who had been waiting for him since early evening, started sewing once more. Where could he have gone to not be back by now? Suddenly, she thought she heard a slurred voice from outside the gate. The wife hurried out to the wooden porch, but there was no one outside. Only the dark blue hue of the night rested upon the pale road. Was it the sound of the wind, or had she misheard? The wife returned inside with an empty feeling in her heart. It was past 2 in the morning when her husband finally returned. Supported by the old maidservant, the husband came in completely dead drunk. The wife struggled to take off his clothes, but he wouldn't budge. "Who encouraged you to drink like this?" At his wife's words, the husband offered a despairing smile. "Who encouraged me? Do you think you could figure it out, my wife?" He laughed heartily, then soon continued in a bitter, lonely tone. "What encourages me to drink is neither an anger illness nor high-collar vanity. It is this thing called society that drives me to drink. This Joseon society is what encourages me to drink. I was born in Joseon because of my good fortune. Had I been born in another country, would I even be able to get a drop of alcohol?" To the wife, the word society was far too difficult to understand. With a slurred tongue, the husband continued his explanation. He said that even while people claim to act for the nation and for society, in the end, it's nothing but a squabble over fame and deposition. That the society created by us Joseon people is nothing but torn and shredded pieces, no matter where you look. A man with a sound mind has no choice but to vomit blood and die. Otherwise, there is absolutely nothing else to do but drink. I, too, tried hard to do something, but it all came to nothing. The only thing left to do in this society is to play the drunkard. The husband tore at his own chest as if in agony. With tears welling in her eyes, the wife grasped the hem of his jacket. "Please don't say such things. It's my fault. Let's talk tomorrow morning." But the husband shook off his wife and went outside. The sound of his footsteps faded away toward the end of the alley. The wife slumped down at the edge of the empty porch. The dawn wind pierced coldly into her heart. Her pale face trembled like a spasm. That terrible society. Why does it encourage him to drink? In the deep night, only the heavy silence remained by the wife's side. The dawn wind is cold, and the heavy silence remains. Sometimes the world asks too much of us, and the weight of society feels too heavy to bear. But in this moment, in the safety of the night, you no longer need to carry that burden. Lay down your worries, just as the long night slowly embraces the weary souls of the past. If you found comfort in the quiet melancholy of tonight's tale, please leave a gentle like and subscribe to Slow Night Ancient Tales. Rest now. May your sleep be deep, and may your tomorrow bring a brighter dawn. Good night.